you've earned. Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Forget the lame excuse this year. Your boss already knows why you can't make it to work for those magical 2 days in mid-March. Join 93.7 The Ticket on Thursday and Friday at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for March Mayhem. Come early on Thursday and get a ping pong ball with a lucky team on it. And stay all day for prizes throughout and buzzer beater upsets. It's March Mayhem with 93.7 The Ticket for the NCAA tournament at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome into the LIBA Business Hour, sponsored by Nats to Tassili, highlighting local independent businesses in and around Lincoln on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, LIBA's Lincoln's here.
Good morning, Lincoln, and it is early. We're on an hour earlier than we normally are, which I'll be anxious to go back to our regular time next week. So, as I said, I am Lincoln Zare. I am with the Lincoln Independent Business Association, and you are listening to the LIBA Business Hour. And I am thrilled to have in studio with me Dane Patton, who owns Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention. So we're going to be getting into some conversations that some of it will be personal because I unfortunately have too many rodent examples that I didn't know about Dane at the time, so I wished I had. But if you have questions and maybe some free advice over the air, the text line is 402-464-5685. So let's get to it. Dane, you're a Lincoln native.
I am. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, glad to do that. So you grew up in Lincoln, wife's from Lincoln.
Yep.
So 3 boys.
Yep.
Spanning a decade. So busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So how do you wake up one morning and go, I want to track rodents? I'm guessing that was not it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So my oldest son, he's 20. So I had him when I was 19. And at that time, I was working in family fun centers. The people that maybe remember, my first job was Champions Fun Center.
Oh, sure. Up on Corner Street.
Yep. So I worked there, really enjoyed that kind of work. Then I moved to Laser Quest.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
In East Park. Yep.
So I did that.
You're old enough and around Lincoln long enough, both of those places are not there anymore. Are they?
No, they're not. Yeah, most people probably had birthday parties there.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably at their birthday parties or hosted their birthday parties years ago. Or so that's what I did when I first got into work, and I love that kind of work. I always enjoy that kind of stuff. But then when I had my first kid, had a lot more new responsibilities. Those were kind of nights and weekends kinds of jobs, and having a new baby that was difficult. So after a couple of years of doing that, I decided I wanted something more stable, more 9 to 5. And my dad's done construction his whole life, and I didn't want to get into construction, but I wanted to work outside. And I saw somebody was hiring for a termite technician, and I was like, I like to kill bugs when I was a kid.
With a magnifying glass in the backyard.
Yeah, that seemed like a fun job. So
Jackson's over there on the board laughing. Okay, you did it too. I get it. All right.
So I went ahead and applied, and at that time I'd been in management for a couple of years at these places, and And the guy that interviewed me, he's like, well, you're a little overqualified than what we need. And I was like, well, you teach me how to do the job, I can do the job. Right. So they hired me, and I treated for termites. So that was back in 2007 when I first got into the pest control industry. And I actually loved doing termite work. It was fun. I went to 1 or 2 houses a day and really enjoyed that type of work. And after a couple years of doing that, I'm the type of person kind of goes all in. So I want to learn everything I possibly can. And at that time, I had lots of certifications for termites, and I was one of the master termite treaters in the state of Nebraska.
Where do you get a master termite certification from?
Sure. So I did certifications through Texas A&M University. I've done certifications through Purdue University.
So this was in 2007, but was that online?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Even back then? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it was the age of the internet, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, then they put me on to route work, which pest control route, you service, anywhere from 10 to 20 houses. You're doing crack and crevice spraying with a lot of different chemicals. And they put me on a southern route at that time. So I was like Falls City to Fairbury.
Oh, boy.
So I was like anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours away from home every single day. And one of the things that we did was rodent control. We took care of mice. And most of the time for most pest control companies, they do snap traps, glue boards, and poison. Well, that doesn't really solve your problem. You have mice getting into your home. Yeah, we're going to get rid of them with those, but we're not solving the problem. More mice are just going to keep coming in.
True.
So I was like, well, if I was in Falls City and somebody called with an extra service in Fairbury, I had to leave Falls City, drive to Fairbury, go take care of that, and then go back. And it just wasn't feasible for my schedule with my son needing to get picked up from daycare.
Yep.
So I took some of my own time and tools on some of those houses. And I was like, what if I just seal up the holes that the mice are getting into? And I started having some success. Those people wouldn't call for extra services. They didn't have mice anymore. But what ended up happening was those customers would call in and be happy and say, I don't need the service anymore. So they'd cancel their service.
It's kind of counterproductive then.
Yeah. In pest control is a reoccurring service. You sign up for a year, 2 years. You're there every month or every other month to take care of their problem. And I was like, well, these customers are happy. They just don't need our service anymore. And so that was kind of a different way of thinking from what the management at the company I was working for liked. And I was like, how about you guys let me take care of all the problem customers, the ones that were getting bad reviews from, or they're upset and they're always causing issues. So I started solving all of their issues. And at the time, we kept getting a lot of calls for bats, but we didn't take care of bats at the time.
Okay.
And so we'd pawn them off to another local company here in town. And I was like, well, what if we started keeping those? What if I started to figure out how bats were getting in? If I can figure out how mice are getting in, I can probably figure out bats. It's just much higher. On the house. And I was comfortable with ladders. I've worked on roofs. My dad's done construction, so I've had that experience. So we started doing that. I'll tell you, my first bat job I ever did was a comedy of errors. I had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to search things on YouTube and all that, and it definitely screwed it up. But it was a learning experience. It didn't.
Was it successful? The bats are gone.
Yes, it was.
That's like the Green Mile. It was a successful execution.
Yeah. So yeah, we took care of it. It didn't look pretty, but it solved the problem. And the company that I was working for, they started to see the value in what I was doing. So they actually went and bought that local company we were pawning.
You were pawning them off to,
yeah. So they brought those guys in, and they were wonderful to work with. They had huge amounts of knowledge. They'd been doing it for many years.
Sure.
So I learned everything I could from those guys. And for the next 4 years, all I did was wildlife work. All I did was bats. All I did was rodent exclusion, bat exclusion, nuisance wildlife trapping. And that company I was working for kind of, they're a big corporate company. And at the time, they were just kept jacking their prices up. And they were treating the people that work there more like numbers. They were treating the customers more like numbers. And I was like, this just doesn't sit well for me. I'm here from Lincoln, small town community.
Right.
I like to take care of people. I don't like to price gouge or anything like that. I don't like to sell in fear. I'd much rather sell you education, show you what the solution is. You can take care of it yourself. What I do is not rocket science.
Yeah, except I'll tell you my comedy of errors. and I wish I'd known you, but yes, I'll tell you.
So I said, you know what? I've got the tools. I've got a truck. My wife has run her own business since I've known her. She really encouraged me to go ahead and do it because I was bringing home a lot of stress at home. I was always in arguments with salespeople, management.
Well, you're being at. I mean, I think most of us have had that experience where we're in essence in a position of having to act or behave in a way, or being asked to act and behave in a way that's inconsistent with who you really want to be, and that in and of itself creates stress. It may not be financial stress. It may not be, fear-based stress, but it's stress, and it does affect you. I understand. So your wife was very supportive.
Yeah, she was, and she was like, you know what you're doing, like just go and do it. And it was a huge kind of mindset block for me for a while. It took me a while to actually come to grips that I'm actually going to do it. And then at the beginning of 2010, I went in and gave my notice. I gave them a 2-month notice. I said 2 months, I'm leaving. They tried to keep me because they didn't have anybody to replace me. I said, I'm giving you 2 months. Bring somebody on. I'll train them for 2 months.
Sure.
And great. They never did. They didn't bring anybody in. And so, March 1st of 2015, Bats to Rats was born, and I haven't looked back since then. And my name's Dane, so I have a fairly unique name here in town. I deal with bats, which is a fairly niche, unique business. So I just had to get people to realize that Bats to Rats was me, and I was Bats to Rats, and things started to take off. I mean, the entrepreneurial journey, you're like, well, if I make this much money, I can support myself. And what they don't teach you when you don't know anything about business is you don't get to keep the amount of money.
You don't get to keep it all.
Yeah. So there's a lot of growing pains. The first 3 years in business, I think, are more to learn than they are to earn.
Oh, that's good. That's true. Well, I won't tell you who it was, but you might have had this experience. But a friend of mine had said that they had started a business, and that it took them a while to realize that the money that they withheld from the employees' paychecks wasn't theirs. So yeah, I mean that raises an interesting question, because a business plan, right? And then that's kind of that concept of, well, I charge this much and I can make this much, and then after taxes, I have to pay both sides of the, my side of the FICA and the employer's side of the FICA as a self-employed. You didn't do that.
No, I did not create a business plan. I did not really know what I was getting into. I just knew that I was very good at what I did, had a great skill that not very many people had in this town. So let me just go help people. That's all it really was for me. Is you guys have a problem, I have a solution. I can help you. How can I do it? I did a lot of work on handshakes back in the day.
Sure.
Like, I did not have, the kind of contracts that we do now and all that kind of stuff. And come to find out, that kind of was a detriment to me. Now that I've learned more, when I first brought on my first office admin person, I have a stack of paperwork because I hate doing paperwork or computer stuff.
Because you want to be outside.
Yeah, I just want to be out in the field doing the work. And when she came in and she started going through stuff, she was like, Dane, like, you haven't billed like $40,000 to $50,000 worth of bills in the last 3 years. And I was like, well, they told me they were going to send me in a check, and I go and do that job, and they're like, okay, well, we'll mail you the payment. And then I go to the next job. And then a week later, I forget about it because they didn't have systems and processes in place to track any of that stuff. I was kind of just doing work on a handshake and taking people for their word that they were going to take care of the
bill. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot.
Yes. You could almost probably write a book about how not to start a business, but
Yeah, I mean, the mistakes that we make are our best learning lessons
Sure.
that we have in business. And I would not trade them for anything, because it's made me who I am today and in our business. We just celebrated 10 years in business. There's a very small percentage of business people that get into business
Make it that way.
that can make it 10 years.
Mhm.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Now I've got a wonderful team. We've got 6 full-time people, and the future is so exciting for me right now. Like, I feel like we're just starting. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible. And I get lots of joy in going to somebody's house and taking care of their bat problem. I didn't realize how much joy I would get from having people a part of my team do the same thing, and me see them win, and me see them take care of people and get 5-star reviews from the work that they do, and in our business get these reviews. And I don't personally have anything to do with these customers. It's my team.
Right.
And
Right.
and that stuff just charges me up so much. It gets me so excited to see my people win. And then, as long as the customer's happy, the employees are happy, and then the business is happy.
And they pay the bill.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, we've got software, we've got
You've got that
systems in
figured out.
places.
Yeah, you solved that one a few
Yeah.
years ago, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you how much software that we have now. It's crazy.
Okay, go for it. Jackson says we got something.
Bill and Bennett is asking, he says Bennett has a huge population of squirrels this year. What is the most effective way to thin them out without a visit from a game and parks officer?
Well, you could certainly, live trap and remove those squirrels. Squirrels are not a protected species by any means. You can euthanize squirrels if you need to. Out in Bennett, if you're out in the country, usually people just take a 22.
This is going to go over well.
Well, people out in the country, I see that all the time.
Exactly.
For what it is that we do, we want to make sure that they're not getting into people's homes.
Yeah.
If they're outside, like, that's where they live. That's where I want them to be.
When you say live trap, what does that mean?
Yeah, just a live cage trap. Bait it with some peanuts, peanut butter, something like that.
And then what?
Then you open it up, and then the squirrel goes in it.
But then what? You got a squirrel. Honey, we have a squirrel. What are we going to do with it?
Sure. Then you can call somebody like us. We can come pick it up and take it off your hands for you.
Or just take it 6 miles out of town and drop it off like they do at Yellowstone.
Yeah. Technically, dropping animals out in the country is illegal because you're dropping off on private property. And
what about like state highway right away?
Well,
okay, they might get. Okay, that's the same thing as euthanizing them, because when they cross the highway, they're gonna get killed anyway.
Yeah. So when people just have squirrels, in their yard, I mean, that's what they are. You can wrap some metal around your trees so that limits them from climbing up into your trees. And
grease the bird feed pole.
Yeah, you can do that kind of stuff too. Yeah, but our big focus is have they chewed a hole into your home? How can we get them out safely, and then repair your home so they can't get back in there?
Yeah. So call came from Bennett. So raises the question: how far out do you go? How far out is your coverage territory?
Yeah. So for nuisance trapping like that, for squirrels, possums, raccoons, we just stay inside Lincoln City limits.
Okay.
But for exclusion work, we travel the entire state. We've gone into parts.
Exclusion work. Term of art here. What do you mean by exclusion work?
Yeah. For bats or rodents, for mice,
to prevent them from getting in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Doing the animal damage repairs, stuff like that, making sure that
you'll go all over the state.
Yeah, we travel the entire state. We've gone into parts of Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri. I'll go all over. I mean, I've gone about to Imperial. I've done bat work. We've
by
done,
Juanita.
Yeah. We've gone all the way up to Valentine to do bat work up there.
After playing around a golf at Dismal River.
Well, there was one year where I was going down the river.
Down the Dismal?
No, the
Niobrara.
The Niobrara River. Yeah. And I had my truck with my logos on it, and the guy was like, "Hey, you take care of bats?" I was like, "Yeah." So then he drove me out to this big shop that he had that they store a bunch of stuff, and I helped him bat proof that and gave him a bunch of ideas. On how to take care of it.
While you were sliding down the Niobrara.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So do you advertise in those towns?
So we do.
It's just all word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, lots of it's word of mouth. That's how it's been, since I started this. But when you start a business, you don't really have a marketing budget. Now that we got a little bit bigger, I have a little bit more of a marketing budget that I do a lot of like Google advertising and.
Yep.
But I would say that the biggest thing is word of mouth, just taking care of customers, and then when they get good service, then they tell other people. That's the biggest thing. When I first got started, I used to drive to small towns and put little things on the tacker boards at the post office
and the restaurants.
Yeah. So if you have bats, call me.
Yep.
So that definitely helped get my name out there. But we go, if somebody finds us on Google, we'll pretty much travel wherever. If they're more than 2 hours away, I usually ask for pictures of the house so I can kind of give them a ballpark.
You
range.
do like a surcharge for a trip charge or something?
Yep. We do charge for inspections when we come out because we'll.
But 2 hours away is different than like 48th and South.
Yeah, here in Lincoln, it's $100 inspection.
Okay.
For us to come out, and we do a full exterior inspection of the house. We're looking for any kind of gaps, cracks, crevices, the size of a dime or larger, because those are how bats and mice can get into your home. We also do an interior inspection. We want to know what kind of activity you've noticed inside, where you've been hearing scratching noises. Get up into the attic space, see what kind of droppings, population size you might have in there, and then we give you a full detailed list of our findings. We get pictures of everything that we've seen, show you what needs to be done. You can take care of it yourself if you want to.
Right.
But most people aren't going to be climbing up their roof
and
doing all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
So then we can give you a solution on how we can take care of those problems and make it look like we've never were even there.
Yeah.
The house shouldn't look any different.
Yeah.
Too many people I see get into this business and they just start spray foaming
everything
the house, and it just looks absolutely terrible. And that's not what we want. We want you to be happy with the way that our service looks after we're done.
Awesome. Well, this segment was sponsored by Nats to Tasseling, which we greatly appreciate. And unlike Bats to Rats, which is very, very obvious, right? It's batstoRats.com, isn't it? Yep. Nats to Tasseling. Do you know Don?
I think I met him one time. Yeah.
Nat is not a person. Nats means not afraid to sweat. And that's literally their website, notafraidtosweat.com. So, but Dane's website is batstoRats.com. And I'm visiting with Dane Patton with Bats to Rats. And we will be back here in just a moment.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service. But it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free. So visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
There's no place like McKinney's Irish Pub for St. Patrick's Day, so mark your calendars to join in on the fun for their 11th annual Street Festival. The party starts on Saturday, March 15th, with tons of giveaways, a kilt contest, great Irish food, and green beer, and continues on Monday the 17th for actual St. Patrick's Day. Doors open for the bar at 11 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Monday, and the street party starts at 2 p.m. both days. Don't miss out on great music and great fun with no cover charge for St. Patrick's Day weekend at McKinney's 8th and P in the Haymarket.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new great trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Fall City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
If you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
LES wants your feedback. Help shape your electric utility's direction and priorities by taking an anonymous online survey. Make your voice heard before the survey closes on April 30th at les.com/survey.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Forget the lame excuse this year. Your boss already knows why you can't make it to work for those magical 2 days in mid-March. Join 93.7 The Ticket on Thursday and Friday at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for March Mayhem. Come early on Thursday and get a ping pong ball with a lucky team on it. And stay all day for prizes throughout and buzzer beater upsets. It's March Mayhem with 93.7 The Ticket for the NCAA tournament at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Back to the LIBA Business Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This segment sponsored by Ascend Aesthetics.
Welcome back to the LIBA Business Hour. I'm Lincoln Zier, and I have Dane Patton with me. We are talking bats to rats. When Dane mentioned the scratching noise, I cringed a little bit because I said I certainly hope that my wife isn't listening, because we had a scratching noise in our bedroom that was keeping us awake at night, and I kept insisting it was nothing, and she kept insisting it was, and naturally she's right and I was wrong. But finally went out and figured out there was just a small gap where the stone had started to pull away from the foundation, and sealed it up, and not with spray foam, mind you, not with spray foam. And I painted it, put a little cover board on it. But the bat story is a little, we had bats on the deck, and they were bat droppings on the granite fireplace above on the mantle above the fireplace and below the TV. And it kind of got to the point where my wife wouldn't go outside. It was pretty gross. It was.
Oh, yeah.
And so to the question of the guy that texted in and asked, has a bat under his deck? Well, mine was on my deck, above at the top of the beam. And I won't, like you, made a lot of mistakes, did it wrong, tried 3 different things, nothing worked. We finally went with the little mirrored discs and you hang them down about 6-8 inches from the beam, because I knew exactly where they were, and that stopped it.
Yeah,
stopped it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Lots of times when people have bats hanging, underneath patios and stuff like that, if you hang something like that, that kind of it disrupts their wings. They don't like when it hits their wings, so that'll definitely help. Normally when people they call in and ask, when bats are hanging outside, what is there that we can do? And unfortunately, if they're just outside, I mean, that's where bats we want them to be.
Right. Well, it's better than the attic.
Yes. So if they're just outside, usually I tell people that there's a few different things you can do. Where bats hang constantly, they'll leave some rub markings because their bodies are naturally greasy because they're hairy. So they'll leave little rub markings. If you can clean that area very well, maybe paint over it, seal it in, it'll encase that odor so they can't smell it. They might not come back there. If you can put something that's kind of slick there, they can't hang on those surfaces. If it's a slick surface, they can't really hang around. So those are kind of areas. If you can just close that area off and then close it off, and they won't hang there anymore either.
Well, Jackson, what was the other question on the text line?
Let me look here. We had from Steve, number 1, is it true that skunk scent can mimic the smell of mold or fungus? And also number 2, which animals inhabit chimneys the most?
Well, I would say skunk smell is a smell unlike any other that I've ever encountered. So
I'm guessing it doesn't mimic.
No,
mold.
I would not. I would say it's way worse than mold or fungus. Unfortunately, that's probably the worst part of this job ever.
Yeah,
is dealing with skunk spray.
I'm assuming it's happened.
Oh, plenty of time. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for 15 years. Luckily, I could probably count on maybe 2 hands how many times I've been sprayed. So it's not.
That's for most people. That's 2 hands too many.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but it happens. I've actually gotten pretty good at making sure, we make sure we use smaller traps so they can't lift their tail.
Okay.
We make sure that they're covered traps so they can't see you coming or anything like that. So
they can't see you, they don't spray you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If you don't spook them, the big problem is when homeowners, they just set out like large raccoon traps to catch a possum or a raccoon, and a skunk goes in it, and then they can see you coming.
You're gonna get sprayed.
It's pretty much it's
a fait accompli.
Yeah.
So what was the other question though? Was chimneys.
Oh yeah.
What's the most likely to inhabit a chimney?
Really, it's kind of a toss up between 3 things. We've got birds that get into chimneys. A lot of chimney swifts. Come the beginning of summer, you'll hear a lot of kind of loud, almost kind of scratching noises is kind of what maybe chimney swifts, I would say it kind of sounds like.
That's a bird?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're really loud.
I'm thinking chimney sweep, like as in, the Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Now that bats will get inside chimneys. Now bats don't necessarily get inside like the clay tile or like the stovepipe chimneys. They'll get into the chimney box itself. Kind of like what you're talking about at your house when you have stone. You get like these big stone chimneys. They'll find gaps in mortar and stuff like that, or around trim. They'll get inside there. Lots of times the crown on the chimney's not in good shape, or old brick chimneys. A lot of times bats will hang inside those old brick chimneys. So we can seal off those things, install escape systems so they can get out. The chimney swifts, those we kind of have to wait because they are protected birds. So we have to wait till they leave the nest and all the hatchlings leave, and then we can put a proper cap on them.
Okay.
And then raccoons. Now this time of year is peak time for raccoons in chimneys because we're into breeding season for raccoons. So mama raccoons, if you have an open chimney, they like to go down and then sit on top of like the smoke plate up inside the chimney, and she'll have her litter in there, and until they're all big enough, there's too many of them or they're too big and there's not enough room, they won't take off. So I would say that those would be the top 3 things that we find in chimneys.
So you mentioned something, an escape something, so they can get out but can't get back.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's just kind of a one-way escape tube that we've had, or like a one-way door. So we have a few different styles for different kinds of animals that we deal with. We have large ones for raccoons. We have smaller ones for squirrels, and then we even have smaller ones for bats and birds.
And they don't see the sign that says exit only.
Yeah. We flip on the no vacancy sign and
new versus old, right? You think about, you mentioned like the older chimneys and whatever. And this is just a bias on my part that, I just assume that, older homes have more problems than new homes, which I assume is true. Is that, but maybe not.
No, not necessarily.
That's
The saying that they don't build them like they used to
is true.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of times what I'm seeing in a lot of new construction is things are put together much more quickly. And maybe we leave some gaps, cracks, and crevices that are the size of dimes that most construction people aren't worried. I mean, they're worried about the elements, right?
Sure.
So when they build a home or they replace a roof or do soffits and fascia work, they're worried about, is water going to get in here? Right. They're not thinking about this little gap underneath a soffit return. If we've already got a vented soffit and we've got a little gap here in the soffit return, they don't necessarily worry about it. Water's not going to go up the pitch of the roof. But guess what? A bat will fly, land on your shingles, and then it crawls right up inside that gap. So those are lots of areas that we see lots of time underneath the drip edge and gutters. There'll be a little gap up underneath there that bats and squirrels sneak up into.
Okay, well, so blow that theory out of the water. The new homes are.
Yeah.
I mean, these things fly.
Yep.
Right. So, how do they find a hole the size of a dime?
Sure.
I mean,
so lots of times what happens is, our bats have eyes, but they don't see very well. They say blind as a bat. Well, bats can see. They have eyes. They can see, but they use echolocation to travel. So they send out these little screeches, this little sonar, and it bounces off things. Like if you come into a bat inside the house, it's like frantically flying in circles or figure eight, because when it sends out sonar, it's bouncing off all the walls and doesn't know where to go. So that's why it goes in a circle. When you're outside, that sonar is bouncing off treetops and it's bouncing off our buildings and stuff like that. But bats needs, warmer temperature. They have such a high metabolism and they have to eat so much when they go into kind of their rest period and they go to sleep. They need a warmer temperature to keep that body temperature up. I don't know if you've ever come across like a mouse nest.
I try not to do that.
Well,
but yes, there have been some.
Yeah, sometimes people go in garages, they're moving stuff around, and you find a bunch of like insulation or packed materials and stuff like that. So mice and bats are similar to that. When mice aren't moving, their body temperature drops, so they need to be insulated. So that's why bats like to get into our attic spaces. They stay warm when they're not moving in our attic spaces. Sometimes they'll get down in our insulation. Sometimes they'll just hang.
So they sense the heat.
Exactly. There'll be heat escaping these things, these gaps and crevices. So if it's not properly screened, a bat's going to find its way inside there. And then once it does, it leaves little urine droplets. It leaves little bat guano droplets. It leaves rub markings from their body. So then there's a scent associated with that. So they can pick up that odor and other.
Is that how they figure out? Was that also how they figure out how to get back out?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
and there's going to be airflow there too.
Okay.
So when you're inside of an attic space, it's pretty warm. You get these pockets of air moving, and they're attracted to those areas.
It's like bread droppings, right? Drop it on the trail.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, we're going to take another break, and we will be back here in just a few minutes. Again, you're listening to the Lincoln Independent Business Association Business Hour, and I'm Lincoln Zier. We're with Dane Patton, batstoRats.com.
You know you want those Wingstop boneless wings. With the boneless meal deal from Wingstop, you get 20 boneless wings in 4 delicious flavors and a large order of hand-cut fries for just $16.99. What are you waiting for? More wings, more flavor, more bang for your buck. The $16.99 boneless meal deal from Wingstop. Order now from wingstop.com. Valid at participating locations for a limited time on orders for pickup or delivery placed via wingstop.com or the Wingstop app. Prices may vary by location. See wingstop.com/offers for full details.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
There's no place like McKinney's Irish Pub for St. Patrick's Day, so mark your calendars to join in on the fun for their 11th annual Street Festival. The party starts on Saturday, March 15th, with tons of giveaways, a kilt contest, great Irish food, and green beer, and continues on Monday the 17th for actual St. Patrick's Day. Doors open for the bar at 11 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Monday, and the street party starts at 2 p.m. both days. Don't miss out on great music and great fun with no cover charge for St. Patrick's Day weekend at McKinney's 8th and P in the Haymarket.
Forget the lame excuse this year. Your boss already knows why you can't make it to work for those magical 2 days in mid-March. Join 93.7 The Ticket on Thursday and Friday at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for March Mayhem. Come early on Thursday and get a ping pong ball with a lucky team on it. And stay all day for prizes throughout and buzzer beater upsets. It's March Mayhem with 93.7 The Ticket for the NCAA tournament at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through March 18th is 15% off Wickster seafood, 25% off Meat Mitch spices and sauces, corned beef for $9.99 per pound, and discounted Reuben brats while supplies last. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Back to the LIBA Business Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This segment sponsored by U-Stop and Whitehead Oil.
Welcome back to the LIBA Business Hour. I'm Lincoln Zare. We're with Dane Patton with Bats to Rats, Wildlife Prevention and Control. I'm going to deviate just a little bit here. I want to talk about something that's LIBA related, but then I want to get back to Dane. Now, something I think that Dane's experience holds some great lessons for all of us as business leaders and as leaders in general. But one thing I wanted to mention, obviously, with my style of doing this show, I like to learn about people. I like to learn about their business. I like to learn what made them choose to do what they did. But I think I'm also open to some other opportunities to have speakers or business topics. And so if you have suggestions for what you'd like to see on the show, I will give you my email address, but also if you would like to be on the show, email me it's very simple, Lincoln@liba.org. So Lincoln@liba.org. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the format and whether you would want to be on the show. quick question before I go into the other one. You had 6 employees. 5 of them are in the field.
Mhm.
They're all certified.
Yeah.
And they got certified the same way you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this certification process out there that you got to that
Yeah.
is just known.
Yeah, actually, some of my guys have more certifications than I do now.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That means they can grow the business.
Exactly.
So, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is mindset. We in our off air conversations, you've mentioned it several times. You've mentioned your personal growth, and the idea that you have to lead yourself before you can lead other people, and your change in mindset, as you mentioned, not only affected your employees, it grew your business. Tell me if you're okay talking about that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, people known me years ago. I was overweight. In 2021, I was 330 pounds, and made life difficult being overweight. Made life difficult getting up on roofs, getting on ladders, that kind of stuff. But it also made life difficult, leading my family. I have 3 young boys, and being the example that I wanted to be for them, and I wasn't. And the biggest thing that I had to do is I had to understand what my why is. Why am I here? Why am I doing what I do every single day? And really, it's to teach these boys, what you can do with opportunities. And so I had to get serious about my health, and I went in through what started as a kind of this weight loss journey, turned into the most incredible personal development growth that I never knew that I needed. So I lost 116 pounds in about 18 months. Wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't lose 6.
Yeah. Well, I just had to understand that why, and then I had to do the work every single day, stack little wins every single day, whether it was drinking a gallon of water every single day, whether it was walking 10,000, 12,000 steps every single day, was it going to the gym, every day or every other day, practicing gratitude every single day. For almost 900 straight days, I practiced gratitude every single morning. So what's the 5 things I'm grateful for every single morning? That stuff consistently, you stack wins, you gain confidence in yourself. You start to believe that you are capable and you are worthy of the things that you want to achieve. And through that, yeah, I've had great personal growth, and there's a correlation between how good I feel and how well I've been able to lead myself, that my business has grown too. That kind of rubs off on the people around you. You start saying no to certain things, you're saying yes to all kinds of other things. And then what you say yes to, then you're saying no to other things.
Mhm.
It goes both ways. So this weekend, actually, I'm pretty excited to celebrate 2 years since I've had a drop of alcohol. Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Tomorrow will actually be 2 years since I've had my last drink, and I used to drink a lot. I was a heavy drinker, and I feel like in business sometimes it happens, especially as entrepreneurs. We try to find ways to get rid of that stress that we talk about,
right,
and
right.
we fall into chemicals and stuff like that. And I used to drink a lot because I had a lot of stress. I had a lot of stuff going on in my mind. Now what do? I go to the gym. I work on myself. I work on my relationship with my wife and my boys. I play sports with them instead of me sitting on a lawn chair drinking beer watching them play sports. Like I do that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's definitely helped. And I am eternally grateful for my health and fitness these days.
So, Dan, did you have a mentor through this? Did you have someone that helped you through that?
Yeah. So I hired a health coach to begin with, and over time I've brought on different coaches for different aspects. When you think about sports, we're at the ticket. That no great sports team ever did it by themselves. They always had a coach to coach them along. And if what I've learned in business is you can go far, you can go fast alone, but you can go far with a team. Right. So me getting coaching from other people that have done there and done the things that I want to do, they have the results that I want. Let me learn from them so I can collapse my time horizons. When I think of me being in business for 10 years, it's kind of a long time, but it's just scratching the surface of where I want to go. And now me taking on all that coaching from other people, I get to do that for other business owners in town. I want to be the person that I needed 10 years ago. I want to be that for other people now. So how can I help mentor the people that are new in business, just getting started? What are they struggling with? How can I help them? How can they learn from the mistakes that I've made? Because I've made a lot of dang mistakes in business and in life. And it goes, when you have kids and then when you have employees, it's about,
not a lot different.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
And like I was talking about how excited I am to see them win. Like, it's the same kind of joy I see from my kids when they're on, playing sports, or they're getting straight A's in school, or they get the employee of the month at Shields. Like, all that stuff, like, really charges me up and makes me understand, like, that my why keeps getting stronger, because that's what
Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why. I'm sure you know it very, very well.
Yep.
I want to talk about that a lot with, in fact, one of the columns I want to write for Strictly Business this month is about that, because that was a profoundly impactful book for me. It changed the way I looked at business. It changed the way I haven't done as well applying it to my own life as you have. Your story is really inspirational. It really is. I mean, I think you're the responsibility that you have taken for your kids and for leading your kids and leading your wife and your employees. Very inspirational. I great deal of admiration, great deal of respect for what you've done in your life.
Appreciate
and thrilled that you came on. This was a really cool way to end the segment. Next week, we will be back at our regular hour, 9 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Lincoln Zier with the Lincoln Independent Business Association. You have been listening to the LIBA Business Hour. We will plan to see you next week. Thank you, man.